All right. This workshop was the first time that I emphasized that it's important, it's imperative to read the first two sections in the book. Silly me, I should have been doing that since I started, but
Yeah.
many times people, every time people would come and not have any understanding of it. And then when all these things are thrown at you and you've never heard anything about, you know, kama, moksha, dharma, it's like they're holy crap. You're asking me to drink from a fire hose here. So I tried that, but I'm still learning. Next time we do it, whether it's in June, July, or next January, I'll approach it differently. It'll be more sessions. It'll be more prep work, I think, to prepare people. But Tabby, thank you for signing on to this. You've done this, was it your third, fourth time? Third
It's my third.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you. It
Yeah.
means a lot. It really does. I'm surprised Maggie's
It
not here.
works. That's why.
Well, it does. It
Yeah.
does work. You've had some success with your Dharma code. Did you do like if you wouldn't mind, can I put you on the spot? Can I just for a
Not at
quick
all.
second? After this first time you did this or the second time, did you do a dedicated 40-day or some type of day sadhana where every single day you did your Dharma code every single day? Did you do that?
I did. It didn't quite last 40 days though.
No, that's common. It's
Yeah,
common for
yeah.
Dharma code.
It's hard. It's a
Yeah.
hard practice. The second time was a bit more successful. I was able to go a little over a month.
Nice.
But, like, yeah, it's really hard to keep up with the 40 days. But I did, like, any time that I had time. I didn't have a specific time of the day because it just had to fit when it was.
Of course. Yeah.
But reciting my Dharma code, or even I noticed something that helped a lot was like at night before bed. Like, when you're laying, I don't know if people have, anybody have problem with that, but like trying to fall asleep, sometimes I just lay there. Come on. And reciting the Dharma code in there became kind of like, almost like a nidra, like it puts me
Of
right to
course.
sleep.
Of
And
course.
I've learned somewhere too that when you want to manifest something, when you want to create, do it right before bed, because you think the thoughts, you put your dream, your goals in, and then you go to sleep. You turn off your brain so your
For
brain
sure.
doesn't get in the way. So I found that was the most helpful. That I was able to carry on for so long.
Yoga Nidra can be used to prepare for sleep. There is actually two or three that Rod has recorded, and I can send them to you guys if you want, that are specifically intentional in order to fall asleep without even getting back up. Like you lay in bed, you put the recording on, you do the techniques, and then the idea is to fall asleep. Of course, you can recite the Dharma code over and over. You can put any meditation, any Yoga Nidra on prior to sleep. It's a good idea for sure. But you did the some kind of routine practice, and did you find results? You're saying it works, but did you think, can you attribute some actual results to doing this work?
Yeah, yeah, and it was more connected to the Vikalpa,
Okay.
because the Dharma feels still it feels like it's still a giant to conquer. I'm still trying to fulfill that, but each time that I do, I get one step closer. The first time that I did it, I wasn't sure what I was doing. I wasn't sure what I wanted. I wasn't sure what my Dharma was, and I believe that was the desire that I picked for the very first one. I went straight to the Dharma. I'm like, I just want to know why I'm here. I just want to know what I'm here for.
Now, when you say your Dharma code, did you mean your Dharma code is a big monster to overcome, or were you referring to your Sankalpa?
No, the Sankalpa was the easy one. The Sankalpa
Okay.
was the first one that I did, was to take my two teenagers, take my kids to Disneyland. It was like, I need
Okay.
to have more time with family. I need to do that. And it happened that same year, like with me reciting everything, because I put stuff like spending time with family, like with my loved ones and all. And then I realized that, because when I did the first time, I knew I wanted to do some kind of, I don't like to use the word healing, because I don't think we are healers. I think we only facilitate other people to heal themselves. So I don't like to call myself that. I don't
Okay.
think we have that power. I think we all have power to heal ourselves, and we have the tool. We just give the tools and help. But I wanted to do something like that. I want to help people find that healing channel, and I knew there's something to do with my hands.
Can I pause you for a second, though?
Yeah.
You mentioned that it was hard to, I think you said achieve your Dharma code, but is that what you meant the first time? Because the Dharma code is not a specific goal. Remember, it's a way of being. But
Yeah,
tell us more about
exactly.
that.
That's why the first time was so hard. I thought I needed to reach a goal. Like, okay, the Dharma code, so that it's to find my Dharma, to live my Dharma, to be my Dharma, and I didn't know what it was. So the first time was really a beast for me to conquer. The
Okay,
second time was a lot easier.
I don't know. Did you remember if you had asked me for feedback on the Dharma code the very first time? Because was that what it was, to find and live my Dharma? That was the Dharma code?
Yeah, yeah.
That wouldn't have met, I would have said that that doesn't meet the requirements for a Dharma code. Remember it, because it needs to address all four. I mean, it needs to be
Right.
vague enough to be all encompassing, but specific enough to make you feel something. Would you like to share, would you mind sharing your Dharma code now? You don't have to, but how,
I actually brought the last time.
oh, okay. And I'm putting you on the spot because it's good for everyone to hear
Yeah.
from someone who's done it a few times.
Let me see if I have the full one.
And I do have obviously an agenda. We do have our last three exercises to do, which we will do. But I think the present is with us, and why not discuss?
The very first one is upstairs. It's in my other book because I filled out with a different book.
When you did the workshop the second time, I assumed the
Yeah.
Dharma code was different, and then this time you might not have finished it yet. This time, that's okay. I understand because you've been.
Yeah, I haven't finished this
That's
time yet.
okay.
Which
Don't worry
seems
about.
interesting because this time around it feels like it's something completely different. The last two was a bit similar. I'm just changing a little thing here and there, more like polishing, and this time it became something completely different.
Okay.
Which it
Thank
brings
you
to
for
the
that.
whole journey, you know?
Totally cool to hear that, and I'm going to share something that Barb, she wouldn't mind if I shared. I've asked her in the past. She shares a lot too. Barb, who's taken the workshop from Arizona, she was in person the first time. She sent me an email today saying that she was very surprised that just like you said, Tabby, the first two times she did it, the Dharma code didn't change very much, but this time it did. And what I'm gathering, and this is my own experience too, it takes a few of these workshops to really understand this stuff. It really does. And when I was involved in the Rod Stryker workshops, when I first took it in 2014, then again several years later, then again, most of the students there are like deep into yoga philosophy, and they study really esoteric stuff, and they're like in it already. They've done so much of. My mission is to get this stuff out to the world, like to people who've never done yoga, who've never, like the Rons of the world. I want the Rons to come and do, and so we're not going to understand this crazy stuff. I'm actually having kind of a Satori right now. A Satori is like a little inspiration. I think I will take my friend Tanya's advice. Tanya is my dear friend who lives in Minnesota, who was one of Rod Stryker's 6 level 3 teachers. Like he had a really tight inner circle of his longest time students of 15 years plus that achieved this thing called Power Yoga level 3. Doesn't matter anymore about that because the organization, it doesn't even exist anymore. But she was one of his, and she has since parted ways with his previous organization, like many people have. And she's taken this workshop and changed a lot of it and doesn't even use the 4 desires material anymore. It's the same intention to come up with Dharma code, Sankalpa, Vikalpa, but it's not with any of his copyrighted material. And she suggested that I do the same because after using someone else's, process for so long, you kind of need to come into your own unless you just want to be a repeater or a parrot. And I'm not a parrot. I bring in my own stuff, but I might actually at first I said, no, I don't want to rewrite she said, don't rewrite it. Take the general concepts and create your own. And I think I might because I want to make it more accessible. A lot of this stuff is hard as heck to grasp, especially for the Rons of the world who've never done it before. All right, I'm rambling at this point, but I just wanted to share that thought. Tabby, if you would like to share a Dharma code, you can. If you don't have it ready, we'll do it later. We can dive into this. Completely up to you, though. And as always is the case, if you want to share anything, Rachel or Sherry or Ron or anybody, just please.
Yeah, like I said, the very first one that I had, I mean, oh my gosh, look at this. I had like arrows going up and down because I wrote a bunch of things. Then I have, no, this part's going to have to go here. This part's going to have to go
Okay,
there. Like
fine.
it's just all over the place. But yes, I did. Yes. Okay, so the last time was when I was starting to walk toward, living my Dharma, which is becoming a massage therapist, and it's creating that safe space for people. Because the thing that really stuck to me was that your Dharma is, something that you do to help the world, to help your community, to help around. And I try to be as far away from egocentric as possible. Like it's not what I want to do, it's what I'm here, what I'm meant to do, you know? So I said, and you helped me with this one because I have a hard time with words too. I think this is the last one. I renounce self-doubt and accept self-love. I embody presence and fierce attention to myself and others with open heart and understanding mind. I embrace positive experience and allow them to nourish my body and mind. I love everything I am aware of.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
It's
Is
still
it
pretty long,
is
so
it is it memorizable? Yeah, it's long. It's
yeah.
beautiful. Did you go through the checklist and make sure that it meets
I did,
the
like you said,
guidelines?
you helped me create the very last version. But the interesting thing is, this time around, something completely new started come through. And I'm gonna need help with this one too, because I'm like, I don't know where this is going. Oh yeah, actually it does have some similarities. This time I think the very first draft was I embody presence and fierce devotion to myself and those I love. I radiate boundless joy to those around me. My boundaries are unbreakable. I feel free in the knowing that I have found myself. I take space in this world without shame or guilt. Those last two sentences was what I first started. So when we were doing our Nidra the first time, you told us like keep repeating. Those last words was I feel free in the knowing that I have found myself. I take space in the world without shame or guilt. So those are the ones that I've been repeating since we started this year. And
That's a unique statement. I take space in the world without shame or guilt. That's nice. A lot of times our Dharma codes have a similar language as others that we've heard because that's where the examples influence us. But that's a unique line that I haven't heard before. I take space. That's wonderful. Thank you. And if you want, we can do some feedback and back and forth on that if you want to.
yeah, please.
Let's come back to it after we do these exercises
Okay.
so we can finish the prescribed material, and then if anyone else wants to share as well, you certainly can. I think everyone got my email with all the check boxes, right? Like I sent, it was last week with the reminders of what the Dharma code should include and what the Vikalpa should include, and we'll go back over that in a minute. But first, let me take a selfie. No, I'm just kidding. Remember that song? But first, let me take a selfie. Does anyone remember that but me? No one remembers that. All right. We left off after talking about Vairagya and the miracle angle. There's something actually really special about this concept of non-attachment. Something very special. Since I really appreciate the Yoga Sutras, which is the ancient text, the foundational teaching on yoga philosophy, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, this teacher named Patanjali from 200 BC, he says that Vairagya, this idea of being able to be non-attached to anything in life, is the highest practice. And if we can do that, we are on our way, like this is our last life on earth. We've learned everything. Now it's obviously a very, very, very lofty goal to practice it at its like purest form. But we can all work on practicing non-attachment in various levels, in various ways. If we were completely non-attached, now I need to also make the disclaimer that non-attachment, and I said this in class as well, non-attachment doesn't mean that we're aloof or we're cold-hearted or uncaring. What it means is we can move through life with, of course, love and compassion, but we don't invest any of ourselves into any kind of outcome. We work towards goals, and if goals need to change or if goals need to stop and totally rethink everything, we're okay. We do that without any emotional reaction. That's Vairagya. And I think an example would really help because the next exercise we're going to do is deeper into this idea of Vairagya. When we did our miracle angle, that was the start of it. Now we're going to do another exercise. But let me give you another example of what living with non-attachment looks like in practice. And this book, A New Earth, has two of the best examples I've ever seen on how to be non-reactive, non-judgmental, non-attached. And all three of those kind of mean the same thing, Vairagya. It doesn't mean not caring. The example, and some of you may have heard this story, so he repeats two stories in here, which are very good. The story of the Chinese farmer is one of them. Just a quick story on this idea of non-attachment. So a long time ago in China, there was this Chinese farmer. Okay, he had one horse, and the horse was used to plow his fields, and it was his livelihood. And one night, his son put the horse back in the corral, didn't lock the gate to the corral. The next morning, Chinese farmer wakes up, his horse is gone, ran out. And then that could be seen as, this is terrible, right? Because the horse is gone. How are you going to plow your fields? The neighbors came over and said, you're going to starve. This is terrible. What poor misfortune this is. Sherry's already smiling. And then the Chinese farmer said something interesting. He said, maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see. So the next day comes, and the farmer wakes up and looks outside, and the horse came back. And he brought 5 other mares with him. So now it's not only the one horse that he has, but he has 6 horses. He can plow his fields better, more efficiently. He can hire more people to do it in a better way. The neighbors came over and said, you are so fortunate and so lucky. God is smiling on you. And he said, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe. Well, the son starts to train the other horses that came so they can train them to wear the bridles and pull the plows and all that. And one of the new horses throws him off, and the son breaks his leg and cannot work. And the neighbors said, oh, you're so unfortunate. You have no one to help you plow your fields. And the farmer says, what? Maybe yes, maybe no. See? And then the next day, the son is in bed with a cast. He's unable to move. There's a war that started, and the infantry is marching through town, recruiting all able-bodied men to go fight in the war. And they pass up the Chinese farmer's house because the son has a broken leg and can't go fight. And the neighbor said, ooh, you dodged a bullet. Lucky for you, very fortunate. And the farmer said, maybe yes, maybe. And this can go on ad infinitum forever. And it's a funny, humorous kind of example of non-reaction. So me, or many people that I know, the second the horse ran away, God freaking damn it, what the hell? And that's reacting. That's not non-reacting. But what does that do? Like, that doesn't do anything helpful. Okay. Or you can just kind of pull the covers over your eyes and head and not do anything, and that doesn't help either. Or you can be the farmer. He's calm and caring. Maybe yes, maybe no. We shall see. That is the idea of non-attachment, of vairagya. You can go through life without emotionally getting upheaved at every corner, every turn. It's extremely practical. Tavi has her hand up. You can just talk. Yeah.
One of the best way I've ever heard, I mean, you explain extremely well what Vairagya, the concept is. That's why I actually love mentioning in class because it's unheard of I don't know why, in our studio.
Really?
Not many people talk about the actual philosophy. It's just the asanas and the workout, That's why I love to come to Vegas to do all my training because I learned so many new. But one of the best ways and not the best, but like the simplest way was, and you telling that story says that it's radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance. And what does radical mean? Just like intense or like pure?
Yeah, pure, intense, complete acceptance. Yeah.
Acceptance is another word that is, I think, very spiritual and it could be very esoteric. At face value, acceptance, what is it? It doesn't mean much, right? I'm accepting what? I'm accepting you as a friend. I'm accepting that I have messed up hair. But what does acceptance actually mean? Do you want to share what you think it might mean in a deeper level? Because it's a big word. I mean, it's a big concept.
Acceptance, it's isn't the same as surrender. It's just allowing things to come and go. It's just to be a vessel and not trying to hold to things. Yeah.
It really, good job. Yeah, it really is another way to say vairagya. It's so beautifully taught again in this book, in A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Accepting reality, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with it, because there's a million things that go on in this world that we don't agree with. But are we accepting that they exist? Well, if you don't accept, what you're doing is you're fighting reality, and that could be considered insane. We accept the fact that there's pain and suffering all over the place. It doesn't mean that we cannot do something about it, but it means that we're not going to say, no, I refuse to believe this is the case. God, why? You're supposed to be omnipotent, omnipresent, and everywhere and powerful. Why are you letting this happen? Don't forsake me. Like, it's not that. It's the calmness. It's like, geez, I'm noticing all this crazy shit around me. What can I do? Is there something that I can do to help? No, there's nothing I can do. well, I guess I'm just going to send them good energy and love and just maybe empower them somehow with my good energy and move forward. It's like something like that. And oh, there is something I can do. Let's go do it. Let's go help. But it's not like fighting and being like victimhood. It's not like walking around saying this is not fair. Why is it happening to me? So yeah, that's if we can learn those very simple, and they're kind of like practical real world things. It's not so like esoteric and magic. There's nothing magic about this. It's seeing the world, moving through it mindfully, helping where you can, doing what you can. If you can't help, don't get all bent out of shape too much about it. Seems kind
I
of
love how
silly,
you
right?
pointed out how acceptance is not the same as agreeing. Sometimes people get those confused, like, oh, if you're accepting, then you're agreeing with it. Like, absolutely not. Maybe I can't do anything about what's going on right now, in the
Yeah.
world, but I can do with my family, with my community, with people close to me. You
What it
know?
really boils down to is not reacting emotionally,
Yeah.
understanding that you can still be solid, even keeled when all the shit is happening. Because if you can't really, like, I can't go to Ukraine and tell Putin to stop bombing them. I can't realistically do that. Am I sad about it? Like, does Natalia have family there? Like, I mean, yes. Do many of our yoga friends come from Ukraine? I can name 5 of them. That it sucks, and I could get depressed and sad and mad. But I mean, would that help anything? No. I'm accepting the fact that it's happening. If I could do something, I freaking would. I would. Like, I'm not sure if anyone here is an Imagine Dragons fan, but what's the singer's name? He's a local. He lives in Vegas. Dan something. Well, a few years ago, I went to one of their big concerts. Like they sold out the Allegiant Stadium, like 50,000 people, and he might be emotional. I don't know how much emotional reaction this guy has, but he decided to do something about the Ukraine thing. Now he couldn't go and tell Putin to stop bombing, but what he did do is he brought out a Ukrainian flag and he said he was very, very simple. He said just send love, send love. That's all he did. He just said send love and he held up the flag and that's it. He wasn't like preaching. He didn't like cry or I mean he just offered some good energy. What else can you do? And that's influential. Like when 50,000 people are sending good energy, I think there's an effect. Can't prove it, but I think anyway. That's that I would consider these things to be practicing a little bit of non-reaction emotionally. When we become emotional and get crazy all the time, it doesn't help anybody. It hurts us, and I believe it creates karma. Let's talk about this exercise. So we understood a little bit about non-attachment when we wrote the last exercise in class. We thought of an event in life that sucked. And we first wrote about it. We first talked about the negative impact it had on us at the time, and then the lasting negative impacts. And then the second part of the exercise was how do we find a miracle angle? How do we see it from a different perspective where it could have helped us? And it's not rocket science. I think we all grasp the concept that every single pain, every hurt does have some kind of benefit, whether it's teaching us resiliency, building some strength in some way, teaching us about life in some way. There's always some kind of benefit. Even if we die, there might be something that we could see that helped us in some way, somehow. Okay, that's the miracle angle. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to debunk that. Like, I think every single bad situation has a miracle angle. It'd be interesting to find if we can debunk that and say that that's not true. Otherwise, your worldview is a little bit, a little bit heavy, a little bit negative. We can maintain a neutral or even a positive, not like rose-colored glasses, not fake positive, but we can maintain this idea that the world, it is tough, and maybe this is how it's supposed to be because humans choose things. We choose to be selfish. We choose to shoot people. We choose to steal. Maybe that's the way it has to be right now until everyone figures out how to change. I can change, but I can't force the other 5,900,000,900 people to change. Anyway, let's do that. So now on page, if you feel like opening the workbook, page 82 of the workbook, it's the next stage here in this idea of vairagya. How to increase it. All right. I'll read at the top of the page here on page 82. Okay. After the last exercise, you had a chance to experience firsthand what it's like to apply what Rod Stryker calls the first stage of non-attachment. which is finding the miracle angle. On the other hand, if you found what you think is a miracle angle, but you still feel that you're still not at peace with the situation, it means you're not living from it yet. Ooh, so that might be a new concept about this. Are you at peace with the situation? We didn't mention that because that wasn't part of stage one. Stage one of learning non-attachment is just to be willing. Some people aren't even willing to try to see this tough situation like a breakup. Some people carry breakup anxiety and anger with them to their grave. And they aren't even willing to see how could this have been a positive thing, let alone make peace with it. It's two different things. Making peace with it. Okay, a short story in the book, Jennifer's Story. Okay, I'm going to go to the actual book now and read on page 245 of the actual book to illustrate an example. All right, Jennifer's Story. When Jennifer did part one of the exercise, Jennifer chose to write about the breakup of her marriage and the difficulties she was now having at work with Howard, her ex-husband. After years of struggling as a couple, they had agreed to end their marriage amicably and find a way to work together at the art gallery they had started years earlier together. Ideally, they both would have liked for Howard to buy out Jennifer's half of the gallery, but he couldn't afford to. So they decided that he would pay her a salary and apply it towards the purchase price until the day he could do the buyout. Although running the gallery had previously been the one area in which they had been reasonably compatible, not long after they started their new arrangement, Jennifer began to feel as manipulated at work as she had felt in their marriage. As time went on, and Howard moved into a new relationship and she did not, Jennifer's experience of working with him only got worse. But her own financial situation made it all but impossible for her to leave the gallery. The following is an excerpt from part one of Jennifer's Vairagya exercise. The description of her challenge from a negative perspective, her grievance angle. And that's what we wrote about first when you described the situation and wrote about how it affected you negatively. Grievance angle, not the miracle angle. Jennifer had a lot of practice being negative about her life, as most of us do, which is unfortunate. And the exercise gave her a chance just to get it all out. Here it goes. When Howard and I ended our marriage, I saw it as a clear sign that I would never be happy and thrive in a relationship. That's sad that she would think that. For the nearly 10 years we were together, I had done all that I could. I was patient, giving, affectionate. I worked on myself, and I did everything for the relationship. It was never enough. Not long after our divorce, Howard found another woman, and they've been together now for over 3 years. They seem happy. Knowing that he's with somebody else makes me feel inadequate, like there's something wrong with me, that I'm incapable of having a healthy relationship. The end of our marriage takes me into the dark feelings of loss that I've had most of my life. Beginning with the death of my father when I was 4, I've always had a feeling that I wouldn't be taken care of and that things would not turn out all right. Now, I'm sure that was part of her vikalpa because that's a deep-seated, childhood trauma. Being single again, and even worse, having to depend on him to treat me fairly and for my income, bring out the worst feelings I have about myself. It becomes harder and harder to take care of myself and to do the things I need to do to stay healthy and have a positive outlook in life. I've stopped reaching out to people, especially to the people that do love me. I feel boxed in. It feels like there's nowhere to go and little hope. Okay, and now the following that we're going to hear next is from part 2 of Jennifer's exercise when she wrote about the divorce from her miracle angle. But be prepared. These two versions read like they were written by two different people. They were not. All right, here's the second part now. The fact that I'm no longer together with Howard is a sign that I am healthy. I chose to end it. If anything, that is a sign that I've grown and that I'm unwilling to stay in a destructive relationship. It also means that at least some part of me believes that I can take care of and fulfill my own needs. I don't need a man or someone to save me. This is the first time in my life where I took action that shows I believe it. Not being with Howard signals a new chapter in my life. Seeing him at work every day and depending upon him to write my paychecks is not evidence of being a victim or being incapable of having a loving relationship. I chose to make this arrangement because it pays my bills and I get to work at the gallery I co-founded in a field that I love. It is proof that I've grown and am capable of fulfilling my own needs and that I have finally accepted myself as a savior. as the savior I've always been looking for. I choose to see the challenges of working with him as small, but the challenges are small compared to the pain of the past when I had so little faith in myself. Every day is a reminder that all things now are possible that never were. The best of my life is ahead of me. So 2 years later, Rod ran into Jennifer and she told me how much of a difference having a miracle angle had made in her life. I mean, I'm going to interject something here. Like I said earlier, so many people are not even willing to consider the fact that there was benefit in something hard and tough, let alone like finding such beauty in it and being able to change things based on it. Not long after she had adopted a new perspective, her ex-husband had begun treating her differently. They still work together, but now their relationship is working, and she has grown in ways outside of the relationship professionally and emotionally that are truly fulfilling to her. She's had several relationships in the meantime, and although they've not been lasting relationships, they've been a magnificent break from her past, because in each relationship, she's felt nurtured. Jennifer's miracle angle allowed her to change her perspective on a situation that had been debilitating before. By giving her permission to see it differently, her miracle angle illuminated for her all that was good about herself and her life. Once she affirmed that she was on the right path, she became more capable of fulfilling her dreams. Getting to this first stage of Vairagya is as easy and as hard as making the decision that you will find your miracle angle and then committing to live from it. Reshape yourself through the power of your will. The will is the only friend of the self. Okay, the choices we make about how we'll respond determine everything. I strongly urge you to find your miracle angle as often as possible in life. Don't sleep on your resentments, pain, and suffering. Before going to bed each night, clear your mind and find the miracle angle from which to look at any circumstance that's troubling you. You might not instantly feel better, but it will provide you with the understanding and acceptance. There's that word, Tabby, acceptance, from which you can move forward with a clearer sense of purpose. He's absolutely right. I'm sure you guys can relate. If you can't at least see something, some way out, that's where depression comes from. That's where just flushing yourself down this toilet of negative spiraling thoughts happens. It can get very dark. It can sometimes get like quicksand. There's some dark stuff that can happen if you can't get out of it. That's why he says don't sleep on anything that negative happened during the day. Find the miracle angle in everything. This will change your aura. I mean, I can't claim to have ever seen auras, but I bet Sherry has. And I would be willing to bet that a clairvoyant can sense an aura of someone who holds a ton of resentment and who can't let go of the past. I'd be willing to bet the aura is muddy. It's brown. It's not healthy versus a person who is clear. Can you imagine not carrying any pain and suffering from the past, like emotional pain, like I need revenge? Wouldn't it be amazing if you were clear and clean? Imagine what your energy field would be like. All right, I think we all get this. To me, this is a relatively basic concept, but then again, I've been studying this for a long time. Some people have never considered it. All right, so we read that. Now, what is stage 2? Stage 2 of Vairagya, of increasing your Vairagya, means staying open to learning about yourself, even as you wait for your dreams to come true and life's challenges to pass. Dreams don't happen because you dream them. They happen because you do something about them while remaining content in the journey and surrender to a higher purpose or your dharma. Like Tabby was saying, you gotta, once you have this higher purpose, it'll pull you forward in life. In the process, you'll become a fuller and more complete version of yourself. These words are really powerful, actually. Dreams or goals, they don't happen because you just dream them or have them. They happen because you do something about them while remaining content. Okay, you can have goals and work towards them while remaining content. Kind of weird, right? But the process is the goal. Like the journey towards the goal is also the goal itself, getting there. And we have to be content with the process, or else we're never going to be satisfied. Even if you do get what you think the goal is and you achieve it, you're going to want something else. And again, I'm going to reference my friend Eckhart Tolle. He always talks about that. The ego is never satisfied. Even if you get what you think you want, like if you're someone who needs to have like your name on a building, or you need to like pick your favorite real estate investor who's like this rich person who owns buildings in New York or Miami or wherever they own buildings. Is one building ever enough for a person like that? Is $1 million in the bank usually enough? No. Is 10 billion enough? Like, no, it's not. The richest people in the world, they still want more. I mean, think about that for a second. The process and the contentment of the process is part of the goal itself. So contentment is part of this vairagya. It doesn't mean you can't move forward. It means you move forward with the understanding that I'm on this stage of the journey. This is the most important thing right now. I'm not going to live in the future. I'm going to live right now. The following are some things that you can do to create more vairagya in life. And this also creates peace in your life. Please use the next page. If you want to, you can do this exercise in writing. I recommend that you try to reflect on your practice of the following concepts. So on page 82 in the workbook, these are ways that we can increase this idea of vairagya. And when we practice any of these things, you help create contentment and peace in your life, like actual peace. There are three main things. Practices that we can do in the external world, physical things. Practices that we can do on an internal level, like a mental and emotional level. And then practices that we can do on a spiritual level. And then be honest with yourself about how often you do any of these things. So what would some things in the external world be? Well, the idea of compromise is a way to increase vairagya. Forgiveness is vairagya. It's true forgiveness. It's not just saying I'm sorry or you're forgiven. It's not. It's actually feeling at peace with it. Charity work, being humble, humility is an act of increasing vairagya. Compassion and selfless service. I'll say something about selfless service. Sometimes when we perform service or charity or give, it's not selfless. Reason being, we might not really admit it to ourselves, but we want something in return. I'll give you an example. Have you ever given, I think we've all given something to a homeless person before. We've all done that. We've given something, right? Has anyone not? Have you ever given money or food or something to a homeless person ever? Like someone on the side of the road that says, have you ever given something to a homeless person and had them give you like a negative reaction? Like, I don't like that. Or that's all you're going to give? Or you got any more? Or do you have anything? Have you ever had that happen? I hope you haven't, because it's not fun. I've had it happen. Have you had it happen, Tabby?
Yeah, my mom, she noticed once we were sitting outside of the restaurant and this homeless person came over and asked for money. My mom instead gave him a plate of food and he walked a few steps and then threw it out on the trash.
Okay, interesting.
It's not necessarily negative because he didn't react to it, but
The person walked and threw it in the trash. Is that what you said, Tabby?
yeah. So it wasn't necessarily like a negative reaction because he didn't react. He just took it, walked away.
That's what I'm talking about, that kind of thing. So most people, myself included, I'd be like, what the F, dude? I gave you something. You should appreciate that shit. Sorry, pardon my language, but that's the common... Okay, what occurs in that situation is that it was not selfless. We wanted something in return. We were hoping, maybe not consciously, for some gratitude. Like, oh, thank you. You're my savior. You're my angel in disguise. You're such a good, thank you. I'm going to share. Thank you. I was so hungry. I need to feed. We don't admit it, but we would like to hear something, some kind of thanks. Or else, what if we were totally non-attached to it and didn't feel anything? Like, what if we gave someone a $20 bill and they're like, that's nothing, and they ripped it up? We'd feel like we would feel bad. Like, what the hell, dude? Okay, that's an example. I've had that happen where I gave a power bar to a homeless person one time, and he's like, I don't like these. These are not good. These are disgusting. A power bar, because it wasn't a pizza or a burger or something. That's what I'm talking about selfless service. So if we do that, so if you wouldn't mind, take a moment. Let's go through the other ones here before you take a moment, though. All right, so those are physical, external world things to increase your ability to be non-attached. Mental and emotional level. How often do we actually sit and meditate or pray? Or how often do we give ourselves some self-care in a quality type of relaxation? How often do we intentionally do calm breathing? If you don't do a lot of yoga, or if you're not a yoga teacher, you probably don't do a lot of calm breathing because it's not part of most people's lives. How often do you go get massages? Well, we have a spa owner here among us who can offer massages any time of the day or week. Her name is Sherry, and she owns Oasis to Zen Massage and Spa. And then how often do you honestly do any self-reflection? So these are things that on an internal level can help us increase our vairagya. And then let's talk about spiritual level practices that can increase our ability to be non-attached. Prayer, devotion, meditation. I'm going to say that the physical things might seem like they're, I don't know, the most basic or simplest things, but I think they're the most effective because those include our community, our close people that we're around, even people that we're not close with. The idea of compromise, forgiveness, charity, humility, compassion. I'll say one more thing before we jot down some honesty about how we do with these. Rachel, if you have the workbook, I don't know, do you have the workbook, Rachel? You do. I'm reading on page 82. We're talking about how to increase our ability to be non-attached, which is not cold, it's not cold-hearted or aloof. The last thing I want to say before we write down some things is humility. Okay, I don't quote the Bible very often, but there's one passage that, I mean, supposedly Jesus said it or said something like it. I'll probably butcher it, but he said something along the lines of, when you're invited into somebody's home, take the lowest chair, sit in the lowest place possible. And there's, I think, a lot of profound wisdom in that. If you just expect to be the guest of honor, if you're invited and you expect to have like everything provided and served to you, and I think there's something to that that's not that positive, actually. Having humility gives you the opportunity to observe. It gives the other person the opportunity to understand something different about your energy. If you expect to be, I don't know, honored and served, it might be extremely hollow or short-lived. Don't sit in the highest chair. Don't sit at the front. Don't expect all the things. Take the seat in the back. Maybe withhold, if you're the one that always raises the hand to talk, like I tend to be in any classroom situation. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to not offer this answer even though I know it. Let's give someone else a chance. It's something as simple as that. Being humble is powerful. You can think about that on your own, and maybe you agree or disagree in a way, but that's one thing to think about. And by the way, again, he talks about this idea of being humble a lot and how there's spiritual power in being humble. You can show off when necessary to prove a point, or if it's needed. But when you do that too much, it's overcompensating for something else. All right, let's take 2 or 3 minutes. And I think it's important. Be honest with yourself and jot down some thoughts. How well do you do the things in the external world that are listed there? How well do you do the things on the internal level and then the spiritual level? Just put it down. Just be honest. And you can type it if you want. You don't have to write it in the book. How much compromise do you truly do? How much forgiveness do you truly do? If you'd like, you can just give yourself a 1 through 10 rating on each of those items. That's one way to do it. Or just write down, am I doing well in this area, or should I work harder? And just putting it down in the physical world really does help. I'm just going to just speak for a second here. On page 84, if you are serious about making some changes, you can list a few things specifically as to how you'll specifically increase compromise, increase being humble, increase forgiveness. And I think it's important. Take 1 or 2 or 3 of those items and write down on page 84 or anywhere else what you will actually do to make some increases in these practices. It actually goes from page 84 to 86. The external, the internal, and the spiritual. Just pick 1 or 2 or 3 to write down now. Of course, you can do more later.
Paul, I have a question.
Of course.
What is Vichara? You may have mentioned it.
I skipped that one because we didn't explain what it is. Vichara is a specific process of self-reflection, tracing back habits to try to find the cause of a certain habit that we have.
Thank you.
Let's go on to the next one. And it's up to you if you want to, go back to this later. It really does help when you're given some structure and you're being asked to do certain specific things, which may seem super basic or super elementary. How often do we do things like this in life? How often do we actually sit and think, how can I be a better person when it comes to forgiving others. We don't know. Many of us don't, especially writing it down. Like something's powerful about that. It's almost like you got a stone tablet, like what Moses had, and you got a chisel and you're like hammering it in. When you write something in the physical world, it's like, oh shit, it's in a stone tablet. I better actually do this. So what I'm saying is hopefully you do more later, because we're going to move along. It's already 7:18. I can't believe it. My goodness. Okay, the last two exercises, two more. One that's a little bit heavy to hear, and then one that's extremely positive at the very end. The one that's heavy to hear is the pain of not making any changes in life and continuing to get what we've always gotten. I'll read on page 87 of the workbook. At the top, there are two pains in life. I mean, it's arguable that there are a lot more, but two in this context. The pain of discipline, and then the pain of regret. We each choose which of the two will suffer. Do you want to suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Which one? I think most people would say, pain of discipline. I'd rather that one. I'd rather be disciplined and have that kind of pain rather than, but then why don't we do it? Why don't we do the disciplines? Weird, right? Because we have a vikalpa that rears its ugly head. I'll read in the gray box on the side. Throughout the 4 desires, I've asked you to do certain exercises and practices to help you improve the quality of your life. Did you do all of them? Did you do some of them? Did you do any of them? How completely have you embraced adjustment? He puts a capital A there. Adjustment. This means doing different things. How much are you going to do? How much are you going to adjust after you've finished reading the book and doing the exercises? We're being asked to read another section in the book, and I'll do that in a moment. I'll read another paragraph or two here in the workbook, though. What is greater, the pain of you not having what you want, or the pain of you making the changes necessary to get it? Whichever one you believe is a greater source of pain will determine your behavior. Moreover, your future. He could have put another key point in here. The idea of instant pain or delayed pain also affects it. The pain of adjustment or discipline is different than the pain of regret. Regret doesn't happen right now. The pain of discipline happens right now because or tomorrow morning. If you're going to commit to waking up at 6 a.m. and meditating, there's a little bit of pain there. You might be super tired. I don't want to wake up at 6. So that pain is now. But how our mind works is funny. Let's avoid that pain, because if I don't do it, maybe there's going to be some pain and regret, but I'm not going to regret it tomorrow or now. I'll regret it in a year when I realize I never changed. I'd rather do that. Well, that's stupid. But that's what most people do. Am I wrong? It's kind of strange how we do that. We've come to the end of the book. The exercises in this workbook. The biggest factor in determining whether you'll achieve your desire is you, or more specifically, the actions you do or you don't take. What will inspire you enough to change and to do what is necessary to achieve or to become what you want? Ironically, often it's the pain of coming face to face with not achieving your goal. The pain of not honoring your soul's call may well exceed all other pain. Well, sadly, that isn't enough pain for many people. Some of us would see that and say, shit, I better get up and do my goal, because I don't want to find in 6 months that I've just not achieved it. I want to do it. It's time for you to turn your attention to the consequences of not following through and not doing what you need to do to fulfill your destiny. Isn't it time you stop postponing your happiness? First, take a few minutes to read pages 289 about the pain of not changing. I won't take long to read this. I'll just do 1 or 2 paragraphs here just to give us an idea of what we're talking about. And I know it's going to be obvious. The pain of not changing is realizing that you're still going to get the same things you've gotten. But let's read from the book here. He has some words of wisdom. I'm going to read first on page 273. No adjustment, no fulfillment. 2 underlying principles have been the basis for every step in this book. In this chapter, we'll explore these principles and see how they are woven throughout the whole process of the 4 desires. In fact, these 2 principles help illuminate the ideal approach to living. You might say that they are the keys to solving any and all of life's challenges. Swami Rama often talked about these 2 principles. And by the way, Swami Rama is his grand teacher, his teacher's teacher, who founded the Himalayan Institute in Pennsylvania. These principles he called adjustment and contentment as the secret to living in the external world. Together, they are the how for endeavoring to reach your goal, or he says you're there, how to reach your there. Contentment is peace. It is the result of abiding in the truth of who you are. It is the gift that unfolds as you glimpse the part of you that's free from suffering. The texts and teachers from all religious and spiritual traditions remind us, time and time again, that not only does such a part of you exist, the truly peaceful part of you, but that lasting happiness depends on your finding this part of you. And by the way, this idea of contentment that's always there within us, we can find it even when we're doing hard stuff. We can find it when we're in the midst of the biggest challenges of our life. And the reason being, when you know about vairagya and you know that you can do life and do the challenges and do the excitements and pleasures with the knowledge that nothing lasts forever and this is what we have to do now, it changes everything. We can find peace even if we're working through the toughest thing in our life. It doesn't mean you don't have to be peaceful while doing it. I know it's a lofty concept, but it's the only way to find actual true happiness, contentment. According to the yoga tradition, you access contentment through meditation or through whatever process allows you to settle your mind and experience timelessness. The higher self is timeless. It's not in the physical realm where there is time. To the degree that we master contentment, it is possible to find at least some measure of peace and acceptance in the midst of even the most intense hardships. Adjustment, however, does more than just ensure your survival. It's the basis of thriving. Adjustment means changes have to be made. Take a moment here and let's do this exercise. And this is the heavy part. Then the last thing we do after this is going to be very inspiring. All right, let's take just 3 or 4 minutes and let's know the consequences of not changing. Either on the following page, page 88 in the workbook, or wherever you want to write. Write about the consequences of your desire, meaning your sankalpa, and your dharma code together, like both of these. Not being lived, not being fulfilled. Include any pain that results from emotional, financial, or physical suffering that will result. Write about that just for a moment. 2 paragraphs, 2 or 3. Identify the cost of not following through or not taking the actions that move you towards achieving your sankalpa and living your dharma code. Just do the exercise. I know it's heavy, but take 3-4 minutes. Write what will happen if in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you look back and you didn't make a single change. Write about emotional, financial, physical, and spiritual suffering that you might encounter. We don't need to belabor it. Let's just get something down, and then you can stop the exercise if you would like to. It's just important for us to come face to face with what would happen if we don't change. Everything in this process is meaningful. All right, the last exercise is called the white horse. I'll read on page 89 for a moment here. We are always being led by something. However, only one thing can lead us to the ultimate freedom. This final exercise is vital and a key part of the process. According to an ancient scripture, the white horse is the source of life. And the scripture he's talking about is in the Vedas, the texts of India, the ancient texts. It's the source of life. It symbolizes a white horse, the source of life. It is also the light that dwells in your heart. One of the common things, I'll just give a side note, one of the common teachings in yoga philosophy is that we are self-luminous. And it's not like a light bulb, when the lights go out, we're going to glow unless you're like radioactive or something. It doesn't mean that, but it means something spiritual. And when we say light, maybe you could see it if you're clairvoyant. You could see someone glowing, but it's more like a consciousness that is vibrant and magnetic and, electrified, not a physical electricity, but there's some kind of inner expression that's energy. It's Shakti. It's the universal Shakti that's focused in ourselves, and we can either further it and brighten it and use it, or we can dim it and it'll die at some point. And the Jyotir Atma refers to, there's a mantra, Om Jyotir Atma, which means I am the light. I am the light. And it's a very common mantra in most yogic schools, teachers, Om Jyotir Atma. And it refers to the fact that my light is bright, my light shines, and it doesn't need to be woo-woo. It's like something that refers to your soul's energy. Om Jyotir Atma. I am the light of the soul. I am the light of the soul. It's an ancient concept, and we're talking about that here, the light. our soul, our essence. The message of this scripture is that you must nurture your relationship to this white horse. Now, if you don't like the idea of a white horse, you can call it God. You can call it spirit or being. But symbology is also important sometimes. And in this context, we're talking about, the source of life as a white horse. We should nurture our relationship to this source, this white horse, and thus allow it to become the guiding force throughout our life. Okay, let's be led by the light in our hearts, the white horse, divinity within. Please read the piece on contentment, including Shelley's story on page 294, as an example of the power of meditation to develop guidance and contentment. Then read The White Horse on pages 290 to 299, unless you want to share Dharma codes. Okay, 294. I prepared this all with bookmarks. Where are we? Okay, the process of contentment. Forcing yourself to act content when you are not genuinely so leads to all sorts of difficulty, conflict, and turmoil. Remember, contentment is a process. It's not a pill that can be ingested to produce instantaneous results. Even the best techniques and practices done correctly do not necessarily provide you instantly with the feelings for which you may be searching. In your first meditation ever, peace may be elusive. In your 50th meditation, peace may also be elusive. You may not experience contentment right away, or if you do experience it while in the practice, it may take a while, sometimes a long while, to pervade your entire life. By the way, that's why daily meditation or yoga nidra is important, or daily practice on forgiveness, or daily practice on reminding yourself that you are the light of your soul daily for a long time, and then it might actually work in your life. This is especially true if you've waited a long time to start your practice. Remember, an effective practice is defined by repetition every day. Throughout this book, in nearly every chapter, I've provided you with various methods for accessing contentment, any of which would be ideal for you to work with. And now, he didn't always call them that, but any of the meditations, any of the yoga nidras, any of the contemplations, any of the breathwork things when you close your eyes and breathe, any of those, any meditation or breathwork leads towards approaching contentment and calmness and acceptance of what's around you in life. Do the one that attracts you. Pick one or two and work with those, or that one. It should be the one that you enjoy, or the one that seems to be to best address your needs or aspirations. Once you've selected your practice, do it consistently for an extended period of time, and do it with respect and love. Like, have the idea that you're nurturing yourself at all levels. Like, have some adoration and some reverence for your practice. It's sacred to you. And the practice can be just sitting for 5 minutes and breathing. That can be the practice. Trust that your practice will eventually bear the fruits of contentment, non-attachment, and therefore freedom. Although the most profound results will probably take a long time to develop, doing the right practice even a few times should provide you with something. What's Deborah's story here? Let's move to the next chapter 28 and read the White Horse, and then we'll do this very short exercise, and that'll be it. It'll be a wrap. The White Horse. This must be important because I got a bunch of highlights here in my book, right? Some highlights and a bunch of underlines even. Holy moly. It's good stuff. All right, the White Horse. One of the most compelling texts in the Vedic tradition is the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Say that 20 times fast. My kitty's meowing at me. Shveta is the Sanskrit word for white. Ashva means horse, and Tara means supreme, excellent, or the highest or best choice. So the Shvetashvatara means the white horse that leads you to excellence. The central passage of this text is that in order to reach everlasting fulfillment, which, by the way, we can have in life, in physical bodies. We don't have to have reached, true moksha and liberation from coming into a body. In order to reach it, or I lost my place. The central message is that in order to reach it, you need to follow your white horse. According to the scripture, this is another way of saying you can be led to your supreme life only by following the light of your true self or spirit. The light is essence, your essence of all things, the source of contentment. You can also call this your higher self. Some people think that God or your divinity is your actual soul or your higher self. And that's very valid as well. It doesn't have to be an external deity. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad begins with a simple premise. We are always being led by something. In other words, throughout our lives, one factor or another is always influencing us, propelling us towards something, what we become from one moment to the next, and ultimately to our unique destiny. This factor is what we point to when we try to explain who we are and where we find ourselves in life. For example, you might point to specific psychological factors having influenced you and your thoughts and actions. Someone else might point to world events, astrological factors, the culture in which you're raised, or socioeconomic background. Indisputably, something is always influencing you. One of these factors is always influencing you, shaping what you think, what you do, and even the words you use from moment to moment. As we've seen, several different stories we've read about: Stephen, who wanted to be healthy but continued abusing drugs or alcohol; Denise, who wanted a long-term relationship but couldn't control her anger; and Claudia. So these are all stories in the book. Consistently made decisions that were in conflict with their desires. All of them had more than enough evidence to suggest that their actions, thoughts, and words were not helping them. Nonetheless, something was pulling them in the direction other than what would lead them to live their best life. The result that they received, the result was leading them to destinies that were filled with more struggle, not less. Whether we know it or not, we are all being led by a proverbial horse. There are varieties of horses, however, and according to the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, only a white horse is capable of leading us to our best life. The scripture's message is to find the white horse. Find your guiding horse so that you'll be led to supreme happiness. I'm going to give you a hint. The white horse that we're talking about is your higher self, which is connected to all self, God, if you will, divinity. Your higher self is always connected. It's the break from our higher self to our lower self, the ego, the break, the midpoint that is disconnected, that cuts us off from divinity, and we forget what our source is. We forget where our power actually lies. The scripture tells us that this white horse is the light of spirit, the light of soul, essence. And it tells us where and how we can find this white horse. And this is an excerpt from the actual scripture. Omnipresent. Well, that first word makes me think of the Christian God, omnipresent. The white horse, or this essence we're talking about, is it's everywhere. That's what omnipresent means. Omnipresent, dwelling in the heart of every living creature. He is the inner self of all, hidden like a little flame in the heart. Only by a stilled mind can he be known. He who teaches each living creature to attain perfection according to its own nature. Now that sounds an awful lot like the Christian God that we read about in the Bible, but that's not what it's referring to. It's referring to something that the Christian, maybe it's controversial, but the Bible is way newer than these teachings, way newer. And a lot of the concept, this motion here, this is a mudra, Anjali mudra. This isn't praying to any god in Christianity or any modern religion. This is connecting chakras in the palms from an ancient method called Hatha Yoga. But we've come to learn that you're praying to a god that way. And it can be applied to that. If you're Christian, that's amazing. Go and do Christianity. Any religion that you practice at its depths can lead us to this freedom here. The white horse then dwells in the heart of every living creature. It is something everyone has access to, something permanent and ever-present that teaches us how to attain perfection. And you can access it with a still mind. That is like literally quoting what Eckhart Tolle teaches. When you get your ego, that is to say the brain and the emotions, calm, that's when we can access this amazing source of life. Therein lies the enduring message of the text. Cultivate contentment, because contentment alone reveals the intelligence that will guide you to your best life. Again, the teaching of the Shvetashvatara Upanishad emphasizes how important it is for you to cultivate a tranquil mind through meditation every day, or yoga nidra. As you do, your mind becomes clearer and clearer, and in the process, more and more able to know its source. The more you experience contentment, the more the light of contentment illuminates your pathway, and you fulfill your destiny that way. Over time, contentment becomes a powerful guiding force. Regularly accessing contentment enables you to see and make the choices that will lead to lasting fulfillment. I call it clarity of vision, Viveka Shakti, third eye clarity. Being able to see through your brain and the ego. Like the brain isn't even the intelligence. The brain is your interface with the physical world, but your mind and your inner wisdom is not the brain. It's something deeper and higher that the brain messes up when we swing from thought to thought, monkeying around from branch to branch. That's the concept of calming the mind so we can access this true wisdom inside. Regularly accessing contentment. Contentment gradually creates internal adjustments. At the same time, it directs you to make the external adjustments needed to help fulfill your soul's desire. This is almost done here. In making such a strong case for contentment, I don't want to leave you with the impression that contentment alone can solve everything. The lesson is that you need both contentment and making changes. If you don't follow contentment's lead to make internal and external adjustments, you won't achieve your best life. And the changes come from these exercises that we've done. All these exercises give us the tools to make some changes or adjustments, he's calling them. And then it's our duty to practice them with contentment, meaning, hey, I know I'm doing the right thing. I may still not be totally happy yet, but do these exercises. Do what Paul said, meditate every day. Do your departure point exercise. When you attempt to do that habit, just stop, breathe, tell yourself your Dharma code, and it's okay. It's okay. Do that every day for a while, and I guarantee you, you'll find more. You'll be more at peace. I'll take that to the bank. I promise you that. Closing the book. That's done. What we're asked to do, the very last thing, and then we'll close up our workshop here. Hey, come back. Come back here. Look at this cutie. Isn't she adorable? The last thing we'll do, when we finish reading those two stories, those two excerpts, get still and drop into effortless awareness for a few moments and cultivate some contentment. It's easier said than done, but we'll take 30 seconds and we'll do a couple breathing things and 30 seconds. And then let's ask ourselves, what do we see, hear, and feel and experience when we are calm and in contentment? In the space provided or in your journal, use any method you want to depict what the feeling of contentment is to you. It could be words, it can be a drawing. What does that actually mean in a real sense? You can write a poem, draw symbols or shapes, paste pictures. I don't know if any of you have magazines. You're not going to paste pictures, I'm sure, that describe what contentment feels like. You may even go back and reconnect with the scene that you drew when you were doing your Sankalpa exercise, your experience of having fulfilled that. But keep it simple and be authentic. And again, this is something that I can picture kindergartners or first graders do, but it's so valuable to put something in the physical world. So it'll literally take 30 seconds for us to drop into stillness, and then we'll open our eyes and spend a minute to write something. So let's just try it. Let's try 30 seconds here. Please sit with a tall spine. You can also relax back into your chair or your couch, but let me just guide you through a couple of breaths here. So close the eyes and then just slowly inhale through your nose. Then open the mouth and exhale. Okay, feel that your physical body is comfortable. If you need to adjust something, adjust it. It's okay. Now, I'm going to be very realistic here, and I know that we have some challenges in life. There are challenges waiting for you probably, maybe even tonight, but certainly tomorrow, and maybe next week. Life probably seems that it's far from perfect, but let me just offer this. Right now, where you're sitting, right here, where you are, isn't everything really nice? Like, couldn't you feel true contentment right now? Now, the brain will project into the future. Oh, I got to handle this and that. Oh, this or that is messed up later. But that's not happening right now. Just right now and right here in the present moment. Isn't it quite nice? You could say that you have contentment right now. Okay, take a few more slow breaths, like really inhale and feel that this inhale is giving you good vibes, like when you breathe in. And when you breathe out, you have cleansing and space and calmness. 2 more, breathing, just calm breaths. Now, when you open your eyes, just write a few words or do a picture or something about what true contentment feels like. Go for it. Just what does being at peace in the present moment feel like? Write something down on that paper there. Or in your journal, or on your, putting something into the physical world is powerful. No matter if it's very elementary. What does being content feel like to you? Thank you for doing that, for doing all these things. Some of these tasks can be laborious and monotonous, but I do believe every single one of them has value. All right, well, that's the official end of the whole thing. And now the real work begins. I'm thinking about offering, like, I don't know, just like a few more of these on Fridays moving forward, just maybe to inspire some of us to do our check-in. And it won't be anything other than like signing on here and saying, hey, who wants to volunteer. How did you do on your Dharma code this week? I'll probably do that, and I'll send out an email, and whoever wants to get on. I wonder if Fridays are good. I used to do Fridays with my buddy when I did this. If you were to do it, what day of the week would you do your check-in? What day feels right? No one has any days that feel right?
For me, I think Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, that's like a good end to the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday seems like a good day because it's the end of one week and the beginning of
Okay.
another, so that's good.
Well, then I'll throw it out there in an email. I'll schedule a few of these online sessions just for like Sunday, and we'll see who wants to. And what time do we think? Like evening, right? 6, 7?
Yeah,
Is
if
that too
news.
late? Yeah.
Yeah. Evenings.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet.
No,
Well,
I'd love to have like a time frame that it's gonna be.
like how many sessions? How many?
Yeah,
Or-
no, just when we do meet, is it for 30 minutes? Is it for an hour?
Right. Well, I've never actually done it before in a group. It would be, I don't think it'd be longer than 20 minutes or so, because the purpose of it is literally just to ask each other, how'd you do on your Dharma code this week? Did you use it? How many times did you practice yoga this week? And it can be very fast. So all it is just an accountability session, just sharing. And some people hate saying, I didn't do any of it. So it forces, some of us are motivated by that. Like, Sunday, I have to tell people that I didn't do it. I better do some right now if it's Friday or whatever. So it'll be fast. It'll be 30 minutes, maybe max. Unless anybody wants to talk more and ask questions and discuss things. But yeah, short. And no, you don't have to do it. It's just kind of prompting us to remember, hey, this is part of the process. If we want to, let's do it as a group. But certainly one-on-one works as well.
Yeah, it's nice to know that I wouldn't be the only one out there doing it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm always on a mission to see what works best for most people. Like I've said a million times, this is I think the 6th time I've done this workshop, and I want to make it work better. Yes, it's hard. Yes, there's a ton of shit to do. And at the same time, I think most of us don't do it at a high level. I'm sad to say it, but I'm not saying you guys are here. You guys are doing like the maximum. Like you guys are the overachievers. But I'm saying like where's Megan, for example? Megan, I'm going to call her out. She was at the first one, then we never saw her again. She did say, I have to take a step back. Where's Susie, the one in the chair, right? That had the chair. Where's she? What happened? And by the way, she tried to do this before, and the same thing happened. She got busy, and I understand it. We get busy. I get it. I totally get it. And the best intentions are there, but like maybe if we have more accountability, I don't know what the answer is, but it works if you do the stuff. So yeah,
Right.
I'm preaching it now. Tabby, if you would like to talk about your Dharma code, let's do it. If anyone else would like to, we can do that as well. I know it's late, but I love this stuff. And since we're here, you don't have to stay. If you want to sign off, we can sign off. Since I know Tabby has hers that she had some questions or that she would like feedback on, we can do that.
I'm gonna sign off tonight.
Yes,
It's been really
it's late.
lovely connecting with all of you, Tabby, Carrie, Ron. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for
Thank you
listening.
too. And I know it's late, and I appreciate you so much. It was supposed to be 6 to 7, and here it is 8. So thank you. Sleep well, and maybe I'll see you in yoga sometime soon, Rachel.
Yes, we'll connect. Thank you so much, Paul.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.